It's time to say goodbye to Heartstopper. When you're watching this, the final Heartstopper volume is out. That's it. It's over. So I thought it would be fun to document myself rereading it. If you're new here, hi, I'm Alex. I'm a trans guy who reads a lot of queer books. I've read the whole Heartstopper series. I actually started reading it when it was a webcomic on Webtoon, before the print copies even came out. So I am going to be rereading the whole series front to back, and when the last book comes out, I will be reading it. I already put a hold on Libby. As a personal preference, I like to read graphic novels digitally opposed to reading them physically. So I am going to get every volume from my library, and I will be documenting every time I read it and just letting you know all of my thoughts. This whole video is going to contain spoilers, so if you haven't read Heartstopper, pause this video, save it for later, go read Heartstopper, and come back. So I am going to wait on my holds on Libby, and every time a hold comes in, I will read it, document it, and let you know all of my feelings. Then I will move on to the next volume until I get to the last one. And I believe that the movie comes out around the same time as volume 6 comes out, so I thought it'd be fun to also share my thoughts on the movie. For those of us who have already read Heartstopper, probably way too many times, let's start on volume 1. Volume 1 down. I had so much fun being back in the world of Heartstopper and with our characters, Nick and Charlie. I'm American, so apologies because I know I am butchering the British school system. Nick and Charlie are like a year apart and they are in a class together. That's where they meet. They sit next to each other. Charlie is terrified because he knows that Nick is a jock. He's on the rugby team. But he soon realizes that he is wrong. Nick is sweet and caring and kind, but he's straight. And Charlie doesn't want to fall for a straight guy. As they continue to get to know each other more, they become friends. Charlie even joins the rugby team. But his friends and family are very protective of him. His older sister, Tori, and his best friend, Tao. Out of the side characters, Tao and Tori are some of my favorites, including Elle and Darcy. But I love how protective Tao is. He just needs to let Charlie breathe for a second. I've caught myself comparing the books to the TV series, and I'll probably be doing that throughout this video because I think it is a pretty solid adaptation. As I read volume 1, I thought that it mirrored the TV series really well. As I was reading volume 1, I thought about a bunch of scenes that were in the TV series. I think there's like 1 or 2 scenes that don't make it into the TV series, but I don't think they're important enough to have been in the series. To me, the important scenes are Ben and Charlie's relationship. Ben is awful to Charlie, and I feel so bad that he had to endure that. But I do love the scene where Nick comes to Charlie's aid and he helps him. I know that Charlie didn't want the help, but he needed it. Somebody had to step in this point, and I'm glad it was Nick. We also have Harry's party, which is a huge conflict in this volume towards the end. There we have Tara and Darcy, one of my favorite couples aside from Tao and Elle, and Nick and Charlie. It's so funny because Nick is constantly being hounded about him having a crush on Tara, and when Nick goes to approach her because all of his friends are like, go see her, he's like, hey. And she's like, I'm a lesbian. I'm literally gay. They have no idea what they're talking about. But there, Charlie feels left out because they are just hanging out in a quiet space away from the party when Harry and his friends come to grab Nick, and Nick leaves Charlie alone. They're just getting to know each other, and Charlie wants to protect himself, so he calls up his dad and he leaves the party because he thinks that Nick left him and abandoned him. But throughout the course of this volume, we see Nick and Charlie and their progression from friends or mates to having some feelings for each other. Of course, Nick has never felt like this before, so he is trying to figure out what is going on. I love the scenes where he is just Googling it and he's trying to figure out what is happening, taking a bunch of "are you gay" quizzes, and ultimately trying to figure out what his sexuality is. I do not believe that we find out until volume 2, so I'll talk more about him discovering he's bi when we get there. I just adore Nick and Charlie's relationship. This is such a wholesome volume. Besides Ben and Charlie's relationship being toxic and the SA, this is a pretty tame volume. I finally read volume 2 of Heartstopper. I couldn't go to sleep one night, so I had a copy on Libby and I literally read it all in one sitting. Here are some key takeaways. The bowling scene for Charlie's 15th birthday. I love Nick getting to meet all of Charlie's friends, but of course Tao is just going to be Tao and he's going to be protective over Charlie. They are in the bathroom. Nick is outside and he overhears them talking, and Tao is basically just telling him, I think he's straight, I think you need to protect yourself, and I don't want him around us anymore. And Charlie's just like, you don't know. And also that he doesn't out him or anything. He's just like, hey, I've got this, don't worry. And Nick is so happy that Charlie didn't betray him, and I love that so much. I will say there are Harry Potter references though. We were talking about this in my Discord. Some members of my Discord have been reading Heartstopper for the first time or rereading it like I am. And one of the discussions we've been having is about the Harry Potter references. I believe in this volume is when they are just like referring to each other as Hogwarts houses. And I really wish that we could have taken that out. If there's like a reprint, I wish that that could have just been taken out because it doesn't matter. It doesn't really add to the plot or anything. It's just very quick. And as a trans person, I don't like reading that in any book that I read. I understand that these were published before J.K. Rowling started to show her transphobia and made it have a really big impact on trans people. Of course, we have the kissing in the rain scene, which actually happens like at the beginning of the book because we left off from volume 1 where Charlie is upset at Nick. Nick is in the rain. He comes to Charlie's house to apologize and just explain himself. And then we have the really cute kissing in the rain scene where they're running back and forth. This scene and the bowling scene are in the TV show. Then we have Nick's gay panic scene where he is in Charlie's room and he's just like, I have no idea what's happening. I have never felt like this before. And he says the famous line. Then we have the beach scene and eventually Nick comes out to his mom. I love the coming out scene in the TV show and in the book. I love Mrs. Nelson so much. She is my fave. Just the way that she's just like, okay, I kind of understood. I thought something was happening. And is pretty much like, yeah, I kind of had a feeling something like that was going on. That's what I love about Heartstopper is, for myself, growing up in the 2000s and going to school, I didn't have this type of media. And the fact that Heartstopper shows that it is possible to have a happy ending is so nice. Just the fact that it is a comforting series seeing joy. When I was growing up, you didn't see a lot of queer joy at all. And I'm so glad that teenagers nowadays get it way better than we did. And of course, the beach scene where Nick proclaims his love for Charlie. And he doesn't care who hears him. I loved that scene in the TV show as well. That wraps up volume 2, and now I can head on to volume 3. Volume 3 might be my favorite volume. We have the Paris trip, Nick coming out. I love the Paris trip, the way that it is portrayed in the show and on page in the graphic novel. But I do think I like the TV show's version of the Paris trip better than the graphic novel. I noticed while I was reading the graphic novel that in the TV show, we actually get to meet Nick's dad, but in the graphic novel, Nick is not able to meet his dad, and then I believe it's going to be volume 4 that his dad is in town and he comes out to him. We also have David being an asshole. You could see in the B-roll of me just fuming at David and his homophobia. Oh my god, I hate him so much. If there's a character that I hate the most, it's him. The Paris trip also kicks off Elle and Tao's unrequited love for each other, but Tao is still being Tao and is just really nervous to even be in proximity with Elle, or even to just be alone with her at all. I adore them so much. The Paris trip is not all fun and games though. There is some conflict. Charlie does confront Tao about how he didn't want to tell him that he and Nick were a couple because of what happened when he first came out. I believe it's volume 2 that we learn that Tao was talking very loud about Charlie and his sexuality, and that is how word spread that Charlie was gay. Tao feels terrible about this. Tao means well. He is very loud and proud when it comes to his friends. He's very caring, but like we see here, that part of his personality did hurt him and his friend. There is an apology and all is good. Harry also gives an apology. I don't believe that happens in the TV show. I'm gonna have to go back and check that. While they're celebrating, I think it's Tara's birthday. I can't remember because Darcy ends up getting drunk and gets sick. Darcy ends up getting in a fight with somebody who is being homophobic and lesbophobic, so that ends up happening. But then Harry knocks on the door and he actually apologizes. And Charlie sticks up for himself and is like, okay, what do you want? An award? But he stands his ground and he stands up for himself, which is great character development. But you can see in the background how his eating disorder is getting worse, and you are seeing a lot of instances where he's not eating, but Nick is really worried. He's noticing that Charlie is not eating and Charlie ends up fainting. I believe it's volume 4 that we learn more about the eating disorder and Charlie starts to get help. And lastly, I want to mention how significant Tara is in this volume. She is helping Nick through his coming out because he really wants to tell everybody about him and Charlie, but he's nervous about what's going to happen. And Charlie's nervous for him as well because he doesn't want him to deal with what he dealt with. The conversation between Tara and Nick was so prolific and important for the trajectory of their relationship because Nick starts to gradually tell people and come out. He ends up giving Charlie a love bite, and that is how word spreads that they're together. I loved seeing Nick's confidence because throughout volume 2 and even a little bit in volume 1, as he is terrified about what is happening to him and is just not sure with himself, but he knows that he has strong feelings for Charlie. With Tara's reassurance, she talks about how she and Darcy ended up coming out and how it's more about yourself than it is about other people. You shouldn't worry about what other people are going to think because you know yourself and you know what your relationship is. It's such a great scene, and like I said, I think it is so significant for the development in this volume and just going forward. Those are all my thoughts on volume 3. I adore this volume, but let's see if any other volume can top it. Can volume 6 even top it? Oh my god, I totally forgot that this is how he says I love you when Nick's in the shower. Oh my god, I totally forgot about that. I'm really glad that this is also how it plays out on the TV show. Oh my gosh. And then he fell out of the shower. Volume 4 is complete. Let's review. I totally forgot that this volume is about Nick and Charlie saying I love you. Specifically, Charlie wants to say I love you to Nick, but he's so anxious about it. They end up going to the beach with their friends, who they call the Paris Squad. They're still trying to figure out what the best name is for it, but Paris Squad is what I'll call them for now. We have Sahar, Elle, Darcy and Tara, Cal, Charlie and Nick. And we also have Aled. Here we see more of Charlie's eating disorder and OCD come out. He doesn't want to take off his shirt. He just feels very anxious, especially when they are eating all in a group. And Nick is just trying to do whatever he can without upsetting Charlie. He wants to help him. He has been doing research and he just wants him to get better. He wants to make Charlie happy. Meanwhile, Charlie is literally panicking about telling Nick he loves him. They end up going into the sea and there they have a little conversation. Charlie is about to tell him he loves him, but Nick starts to say, I think you have an eating disorder, and they talk about it. It's not a huge conversation, it's just, hey, I know you're going through this and I want to help you. And of course, Charlie knows it's not the right time to tell him he loves him. They end up going back to Nick's house afterward, and Charlie is still a ball of nerves. They talk a little bit about the eating disorder and how they could talk about it. Charlie doesn't feel that he could tell his parents at all. I totally forgot about this because you see how accepting Nick's family is. His mom, oh, she's amazing. But I totally forgot about the dynamic between Charlie and his parents. His mom is very strict and she starts to tell him that she thinks that Nick is a bad influence for him because he's not getting anything done. He isn't doing as well in school as he used to. Charlie and his mom end up getting into a screaming match and a big fight. We also get a little glimpse about Darcy. In the show, I feel like it's a little bit more present, but I didn't know in the books that we get to see that Darcy's family is unaccepting. Watching this show, we learn more about Darcy having unaccepting parents and that they don't like their living situation. There is a scene where they are about to go back to school. I believe it's after summer break, and they end up saying that they can't wait to go to school because they just hate living at their house. I am really glad that we have that because it was a surprise to me when I watched the show. In I think it was like the last few seasons. It might have been the last season, but in one of the last few seasons, Darcy ends up mentioning that they don't like their living situation and they end up living with an aunt or something. They are kicked out of their house. Rereading these books is such a nice refresher because I didn't know that we even get confirmation about that in the books. The rest of Volume 4 is a whirlwind. There's a lot of things that go on. Predominantly, we have the scene where Nick's dad finally shows up and he comes to dinner. Charlie's family comes and Nick wants to tell him that Charlie is his boyfriend. Of course, stupid fucking David has to ruin everything. David literally ruins everything, and I love that Tori ripped him a new one. Oh my god, I hate David so much. Of course, David starts to allude to why Charlie and Nick are so close, and he says a stupid comment, and he doesn't let Nick come out the way he wants to. I feel so bad for Nick in these situations. David is such a jerk. I wish he could have come out on his own terms. He perseveres and he's just like, Dad, you never see me, so why should I even tell you? Ultimately, he ends up saying, Charlie is my boyfriend, I'm bisexual. And David is on the phone to his friends and he's still being homophobic and biphobic and just an asshole. But I do love how Nick's mom, she defends Nick. There's no situation where she coddles David or anything. I think she even says that she's disappointed in the man that he became. It's out there now. Nick has come out to his dad. His dad is pretty okay about it. He's like, I don't really understand it, but if you're happy, cool. And also, I should probably be in your life more. Nick is able to finally come out and he feels a weight off his shoulder, but we still have Charlie and his eating disorder and OCD. Of course, Charlie doesn't know how to approach this because he thinks his parents aren't going to listen to him at all. Nick suggests for him to write it down, write a letter to them. They go to the house and he gives them the letter and basically they talk about it. Nothing really comes of it. There is like a therapy appointment that I believe they said is until January, but in December, Charlie ends up having an episode and things take a turn for the worst in terms of his self-harm. He is admitted to a hospital and he goes to inpatient. As this volume ends, Charlie is out of inpatient, he's going to Jeff, his therapist, and he is back at school. They end up going to some party and that's how he sees his friends for the first time. And that is a wrap on volume 4. This is one of the darker volumes because there's a lot of conflict and we see Charlie's mental health take a turn for the worst. But he ends up getting help and that's really great. The message of this graphic novel series is that love cannot cure mental illness. That is something that Alice Oseman talks about in their author's note. I think this is so important. As a teenager, I dealt with anxiety and depression, and I still do as an adult. I really appreciate mental health representation in teen lit. YA is such a powerful demographic and this series is just so important. I'm so glad that teenagers get to see this type of representation, especially men. Young men get to see themselves represented through Charlie or through Nick. That is why YA is so powerful. So that is a wrap on volume 4. It is joyous at the beginning, but then it does turn a little dark. But I would say it's a turning point for Nick and Charlie in their relationship. Finally, Nick is out to his dad, and Charlie is getting to know more about his mental health and coming to terms with it. He is diagnosed with anorexia and OCD. Those are my thoughts on volume 4, and now to volume 5. We only have 2 volumes left. Charlie turned 16, and now we're having the conversations about Nick leaving, and Charlie, Tao, and Aled briefly talked about taking it to the next level. Charlie and Nick taking it to the next level and being intimate with each other. Rereading this volume is really gonna help set up to what volume 6 is about, because I have no idea what that is even about. I imagine it's probably about them going off to university because Nick is going off in the fall, I think he said. So in American terms, I guess he's a senior in high school and he's going off to college. So I wonder if volume 6 will also reflect the movie. Much to think about, but I know that we have Nick being really nervous about what to do, and he's kind of making his life choices dependent on Charlie, and I know that he does talk through that, but he loves Charlie and he wants to be with him. But I don't think he needs to base his future off of where he goes for university, and I don't think Charlie really needs to factor into that. He does say that he will go to a university that's a little bit closer, so he'll be with Charlie, but again, I want him to make his own choices. I'm really curious if we have the scene from the TV show where Nick and Darcy, Tara, and Elle, I believe, all go to shadow a school. And so I don't think that's in here. There's also a carnival scene that I remember from the TV show. We also see Charlie talking a little bit more about therapy, and I like that we get to see him in real time making decisions that are somewhat healthy when it comes to his eating disorder. You can see the development of Charlie is done so well. The character development really shines in these books, but I would say that because we focus on Nick and Charlie, we get to see their development a little bit more, versus in the show, they're able to focus a little bit more on the side characters. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to reading, and I'll be back once I have an update. We got the first discussion about what I called the carnival, but is actually the summer fete. And Charlie is going to play drums in a band for Sahar. So I was indeed correct on that. Also, still having some conversation about sex, probably going to lead up to the eventual first time. And I just love Nick and Charlie. They are so sweet. They literally bring me so much joy. Nick is going with Tara and Elle to go and visit a university, so I was correct on that. And Nick and Charlie have been talking about getting their parents' approval to stay the night at each other's houses. Specifically, this is staying at Nick's. Charlie's mom doesn't take it very well. I keep forgetting that they have a rocky relationship, but the inevitable scene that I think is pretty popular from the TV show is when they get in a fight. And so Charlie asks his mom when she's in a good mood. They're making a meal together, and he asks if maybe sometime soon he could stay at Nick's. His mom gets defensive, and she just doesn't think it's a good time because exams are coming up, and she says he's only 16. Thankfully, Tori does come in to defend her brother and says, "We all love Nick. I don't really see what the problem is." Charlie storms off, and I believe he is going to show up on Nick's doorstep any second now. University road trip has commenced, and I totally forgot that Nick falls in love at Leeds. He's talking about whether or not they could do long distance, and he just does not foresee that happening, but Elle ends up saying that she isn't going to sacrifice her future over a relationship, and that Tao will just have to deal with it. We don't have the scene that they show in the TV show, and me and a friend were talking about this. Elle doesn't get a lot of page time, versus in the TV show she has more. So we don't have the scene where she visits the art gallery and there's an art school that she really likes. Unless this happens, I doubt it, but I totally forgot that Nick finds a university that he really likes. I'm just so curious about what's going to happen. I keep thinking about this as I'm reading. What will happen university-wise, and what is Nick going to major in? Because he has no idea. I'm thinking psychology, like maybe he would want to go into counseling. He also said some sort of sports science, but I see him doing psychology. In Heartstopper 6, I kind of want like an epilogue, like where would they be maybe 5 years in the future. I totally forgot that Nick wants to go to Leeds, or at least he just had a good time and his plans might be changing. This is such an important storyline because it's very realistic to a lot of teen experiences, especially in relationships. So I like that it's being shown in Heartstopper. Going to keep reading. I don't have too much more to go. I think after this chapter I will be at the summer fete, and I know during summer fete it's crunch time for them to try to make it there in time to watch Charlie and his new band. Alright, gonna keep reading, be back soon. I am finished volume 5. A couple notes. Tori comes out as asexual. I totally forgot about that. She is talking about her relationship with Michael. She's really nervous because Michael asked her to be his girlfriend, and she's really nervous about it and just doesn't know what their relationship would be. We also find out that Michael is either bi or queer, and I just love Michael. He's awesome. But we don't get the prom scene, so I'm really curious if that is going to be in volume 6. We'll see. I love the conclusion of this. Honestly, this might be another one of my favorite volumes. This might top volume 3. I love the development in this volume. Charlie also announces that one of his teachers, I can't remember who it was, but they asked him to be head boy, and so he has to fill out an application. The British school system really confuses me, so I don't really know what a head boy is. I imagine it's just somebody that the freshmen can go to if they need help. And it just seems like he's gonna set a good example. But Nick says he would be really good at it, so. And then we leave off on the conversation of Nick and Charlie finally talking about how the uni road trip went, and Nick confesses that he really liked Leeds. And Charlie is so cool about it. But that's it. No prom, and I'm really curious what Heartstopper Volume 6, the final volume, is going to entail. Tomorrow I will read Heartstopper Volume 6, and then the next day, which is Thursday, I am going to watch the movie, and then you'll be able to see this video and know all of my thoughts. I'm a little nervous to read the last volume because it's the final thing, but I'm glad that I reread them because now I have more of an idea. I feel more refreshed now that I've reread them, but I know I just keep talking about the TV show. It's just the most recent thing that I have to talk about. And I think it's important to also just talk about the differences between the TV show and the book because I think the TV show is awesome. Also, this kind of helps me for when I finally watch the movie. Okay, it is 8 p.m. I need to start reading Heartstopper Volume 6. I was going to start at 6, and now it's 8. I have been stalling, but I did need to charge my iPad. It is all charged and ready to go. Before I get reading, I want to talk about my predictions. I don't have too much because I don't know what this volume is going to be about. But since reading Volume 5, I believe Volume 6 is probably going to talk about uni, Nick going off to uni, maybe even Charlie going to uni, and what they are going to study. In Volume 5, Nick realizes that he likes Leeds when they go on a visit. So he ends up telling Charlie about that, and Charlie's like, totally cool. But I feel like this is just gonna talk about the future. I think that's what the movie is gonna do as well, because it's called Heartstopper Forever. So I really hope that we just get a good conclusion. I hope that this gives me some closure on all of the characters and their relationships. Tara and Darcy, Tao and Elle, and Nick and Charlie. Even if we have something about Tori, it doesn't even have to be her and Michael, just Tori herself. I want to know where they're gonna be in 5 years. I would love an epilogue or just some semblance of closure. Knowing where all of the characters are going to be and what their next steps are. We're probably gonna talk about sex and intimacy. Is Charlie going to win head boy? If that's how it works. They were saying in Volume 5 that you have to vote and that he will win and that he would be great at it, so maybe we'll see something like that. This is pretty long. According to the story graph, it's over 400 pages. I don't think I'll be able to finish it tonight, so I will finish it in the morning, but I'll read at least the first half of it today, and then I'll finish it tomorrow. I think that's pretty good because I'm gonna watch the movie tomorrow as well. Now, it's time to read. I'm literally so nervous. I just don't want this to be over, and usually I'm somebody that waits, and you probably would have me read it a year from now. I never read things right away, especially when it's a final conclusion to a series. I want to cherish it as much as I can, but I'm doing this video, so I can't do that. But it's gonna be fun to finally read it and not have to avoid spoilers. Alright, it is time to say goodbye to Heartstopper. Like I did with Volume 5, I will update you along the way, just adding some notes as I finally read it. I loved Charlie's speech. His character development, I would never in a million years, from when I read Volume 1, even Volume 2, ever thought that this is where we would be in terms of his confidence, because his confidence was literally on the ground thanks to Ben. Everybody hates Ben, including me. Oh my god. This is amazing. I definitely think he's gonna get it. This is gonna be so great for him too. I think while Nick is off at uni, he'll be able to focus on things, because they were talking in Volume 5 about how both Nick and Charlie need to exist without being with each other 24/7 and find out who each other are. Nick says he still doesn't know who he is without Charlie, and I feel like Charlie is similar. He doesn't really know who he is without Nick. So that's going to be really interesting, but great speech. I knew it. Charlie did win. Great. Oh, and he gets like a cool little pin. Nice. Oh, this makes me so happy. I think it's Tara is hosting a Halloween party, and Charlie is a pirate, and Nick is a cowboy. I love this. Okay, I definitely missed something unless they never talked about it in the last volume, but Charlie is working at a cafe, I think. Maybe it's a coffee shop. He's in like a little barista uniform, and he said to Nick that he has his shift till 7 or something, so I have no idea. Oh, Darcy works there too. Honestly, I love Darcy. They're one of my favorite characters. David! Oh, you know what? Can't we just get David somewhere else to live? Can't we just book him a hotel or something? Like, oh my god. So Nick is having a hard time. He knows that they're gonna have to have a long distance relationship, and honestly, I think I accidentally spoiled myself because I saw somewhere that somebody said something about Charlie and Nick breaking up, or maybe just having like a traditional third act breakup. I don't know how I would feel about that. I guess I would have to know what the circumstances were. Maybe it's like getting in their head about how long distance doesn't work in college and stuff like that. But Nick is really anxious at the moment, and you can tell. And Charlie's trying to help him, but Nick doesn't want help, and you can tell he's really having a hard time about leaving. And honestly, that's pretty realistic for just teenagers in general. I think I've said this before. I think I said it when I was reading Volume 5. Okay, so we just learned that Tori is applying to a school in Scotland. I guess we kind of have overlooked that. I wasn't really thinking about where she would go. Um, oh, oh, that's gonna be really rough then. Oh my gosh. I guess we'll see what happens. What? Okay, alright. So I think this dress is kind of getting to both of them, because what do you mean that Nick just woke up, basically sleeping at Charlie's house, and he had a dream that Charlie died? Oh my god, oh my god. No, don't like that. Oh, I don't like that. I guess I wasn't really prepared for something like that to happen. Not that that means that's going to happen, but it could always be a possibility. Oh, oh my gosh. I feel like this volume is really focused on Nick, and I like that. We haven't had a volume that's like specifically focused on him since like volumes 1 and 2, where he's like figuring out his sexuality. So I feel that we're getting more talk about like the stress and how that can affect both Nick and Charlie's mental health. It looks like Charlie's eating disorder is flaring up. There's been some scenes where he's like not hungry, or just this scene in particular where he's like just looking at his food. We haven't had any like mention of him with his therapist Jeff. So I'm curious what that's going to look like, or even if that's going to be addressed again. I would imagine it is if we're talking about mental health. And I'm really glad that we're still showing it, because the last two volumes were really heavy talking about it, but mental health does not go away. You just learn how to manage it. And I feel like you can see the anxiety with Nick as well. Alright, this is Nick's like first time being able to drink alcohol because he turned 18, and I'm nervous. Now that I said we have some anxiety and mental health going on, oh, I'm nervous. Okay, it seems like this is pretty common in the friend group. Tal and Elle are fighting about Elle going far away, and their long distance relationship is probably gonna happen. Now Darcy is having some problems. Um, I'm wondering if we're going to see a little bit of what we saw in the TV show. I think it was during prom or whatever. I wonder if prom will be in this one. Tara is saying that Darcy is kind of avoiding her, and obviously Nick's going through a lot. There's a lot of conversation and people talking about their relationship, Nick and Charlie. I feel like a breakup's gonna happen. So I think Darcy is really dealing with things from their parents, and maybe we'll see them move in with their aunt like the TV show. I don't think I like drunk Nick. I do not like drunk Nick. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh. Here we go. Darcy gets kicked out of their house. This is what happened in the TV show. I wonder if the show influenced Volume 6 at all, or if it was already written. Okay, now we have Darcy finally come out and ask if everyone can use they them. I was curious to why that wasn't happening, but I guess that's what happened in the TV show, so I'm a little ahead. Okay, I literally shouldn't laugh because they just got in a fight and it did not go well. I just think everything's boiling and coming to a head, and we're gonna have like a big blowout. Even though we kind of just had like a minor blowout, and Charlie admitted that he's really anxious because Nick won't tell him about what he's anxious about, and it's just a lot of miscommunication, which I guess is kind of their thing, but also I feel like they can talk to each other about anything. I hope that they can kind of have a healthy conversation. And I was laughing because Nick was making pancakes, Charlie didn't want any, and then Nick brought up like the whole eating disorder thing, and they get in a fight, and Charlie leaves, and the pancakes were burnt, and I laughed because it woke up David, and honestly, that's a win for me. Alright, so Charlie just started crying and talking to his mom about how he's been feeling with like not eating, so that's really, really good progress. And she said she'll call Jeff, so hopefully, actually, looks like right here, they're doing a video call. Tori said, well, you two do love to talk. Very true. Honestly, I'm very proud of Charlie because he realized that he relapsed from talking with his therapist, and his therapist helped him. He's going to ask people for help. He asked Tori if she would help him make lunch, and I love that. Nick is playing rugby and he literally is getting a fight because somebody called him a slur. Um, I I hope he doesn't get hurt. Like genuinely, I never thought about that being a possibility. Oh, they think he might have a concussion. Oh, I was not expecting this. This was not on my predictions. Genuinely could not have predicted Nick getting a concussion. Okay, so it looks like Nick's fine. He just was bleeding. I don't think he has a concussion. But he definitely is having some outbursts. And I'm concerned about him as well. Oh my gosh. Snowball fight. I love that. We're actually talking more about Nick's like childhood trauma, which is interesting. There was like a scene where he talks about, or like he has a flashback to his dad telling him not to cry, and so some talks about toxic masculinity. And him and his mom just had a conversation about how Nick always felt like he had to be perfect for his dad and wanted to be just like him, and he thought that would be enough to like get his dad's attention. His mom is like, you don't have to do that for Charlie. You guys already love each other, and it looks like you're doing that here. Honestly, I wonder if Nick will go to therapy. Because honestly, he probably should. Oh my god. I thought like the end would make me cry, but oh my gosh. Nick just said he's scared that Charlie would outgrow him. And that just breaks my heart. Oh my god. That is so sad. Charlie's confidence is up here, and I guess now Nick's is right here. Because he said, you're amazing, and there's nothing special about me. That is so not true. That really did something to me. That really hurt my feelings. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, yay, Nick got into leads. That's so exciting. I said that when I was reading Volume 5 that I could really see him going into psychology. Nick being a therapist and like helping people because that's what he loves to do. I would love that. Wow, so many milestones. I think I'm gonna stop it there, but I have some thoughts. Darcy and Tara are doing a gap year. I kind of hope to see that in the movie. Charlie is 1 year self-harm free. That is so good. His character development is so good. I'm so happy for him. Getting to root for a character like him is so rewarding. And just getting to see him at rock bottom and see him just move up the ladder and feel confident, and he is out and proud, even though he does have some anxiety about it still, which I totally understand. And he's head boy, that's amazing. And he's in this band doing drumming, which is great. But he did propose to Pride Club and he was shot down about it. And basically, they told him that basically because it's like an identity group, they can't do that because then everyone's gonna want one about their identity. And I think that that is just such a stupid excuse. I hope that he's able to get it. It looks like he keeps fighting for it and getting shut down, so I hope that he doesn't give up. Oh my god, that was really emotional. And I don't even think I'm halfway. I'm almost 60% in, so I'm gonna stop it there. But the first half was really good. And so far, some of my predictions are right, besides Nick getting into a rugby fight and almost getting a concussion. He did get like a 3-game suspension for that, by the way. Alright, I am going to resume in the morning, and I'll see you then. Hello, it's the next day. It is 11:30 a.m. and I am going to finish Heartstopper. I have 170 pages left. I don't want it to be over, but at least I have the movie still to watch, so I'll be doing that after I read this. I checked, and the movie is an hour and 54 minutes, I think, but now it is time for me to read. I don't want it to be over. Like, I only have 170 pages. What is going to happen? I left off on Nick having almost a panic attack, honestly, about him leaving Charlie. I'm really surprised, like, Charlie's just really chill about it, and I kind of felt like he would not feel like that, but maybe it's leading up to something. Maybe right now he's okay with it, but it might hit him at a certain point. Also, Darcy has officially moved out of their house due to their abusive parents. I'm not sure what the actual deal is, but it seems that they are homophobic and they are not accepting of Darcy, which makes me so sad because I just love Darcy so much. Anyway, I am clearly stalling. It is time to finish Heartstopper. I don't want to. I was not prepared for Tao and Elle to have a breakup. I guess I didn't really expect any breakups to happen because this is such a wholesome series, but with the talks of like going away to university, just the discussions of that throughout the book, I guess I should have expected something like that. Honestly, Tao and Elle breaking up might destroy me. No, they have to get back together. I can't handle this. Tao and Elle breaking up actually might destroy me more than if Nick and Charlie broke up. Oh, their 2-year anniversary. Love that. Oh, Michael's going to the Olympics. Let's do a little debrief. Nick is going through a lot, and we are still gradually seeing how his parents' divorce has really affected him and his brother. I kind of like getting to see some of his family dynamic like that, especially because obviously we all hate David because he's a terrible person, but you're kind of seeing glimpses of maybe why David is the way he is, and Nick is talking about a lot of his insecurities that his dad put on him. Again, they're just really nervous about what's gonna happen when Nick eventually goes off to uni. There was also a little storyline about a dog named Biscuit. So Nick is volunteering at like a pet clinic, and there's a dog named Biscuit who is afraid to play with the other dogs and has been there for 3 months. and Nick is able to get the dog out of its shell and it goes to a nice home. So I wonder if that might be something that Nick pursues instead of psychology. I want him to do psychology because I just feel like he would be a good counselor, but we'll see what happens. I love Tao, honestly. Just look at this. They all want the pride, and this is their Instagram pictures. Okay, I think this is now gonna be prom. Okay, I guess it's kind of prom. It says the Leavers Ball. Oh, is it like a senior prom? Like, because they're leaving? Oh, they look so cute. And look at Darcy's suit. I love that. An owl. Oh. The teachers are wearing rings. Oh, come on. Tal and Elle have to make up. Or dance at least. Oh, oh. This is literally crushing. And like, I get it, but I think they could do it. They could do long distance. Basically, they just had one last dance, is what Elle said. And they danced at the, prom, ball, whatever you want to call it. Tell them, Charlie, tell them that they're wrong for breaking up. That they deserve to be back together. I think they're officially broken up. Like, I get it, but also, selfishly, I love them. And maybe they'll get back together eventually. Oh, they're back where their first kiss happened. I'm at the epilogue now. It goes so fast, oh my god. Okay, hold on, what's the epilogue gonna be? There was no breakup. They literally just had a conversation, said if we were like the other couples, maybe we would do that, but our bond and our love is so strong that that's not going to happen. So, that's pretty good. I guess the epilogue, I would say, hopefully it shows where the friend group ends up. Uni. I actually am also curious about where Charlie would go for uni if he chooses to go at all. I've been so focused on Nick that I'm like, I don't really know what Charlie would be interested in. I guess like psychology for him as well. Alright, let's do this. I really don't want to. Alright, we see Tara and Darcy are on their gap year exploring the world. Oh, somebody's doing a podcast. Oh my god. Aled, Francis, and Dan are doing a podcast. Michael! Okay, Michael's actually in the Olympics now. Before, when I celebrated, it was Worlds, but yay! Tao is in Berlin. Oh my god. You can't just do that to me. You can't just do that to me. You can't just do that to me. Tao went to visit Elle in Berlin, surprised her, and then you gave me nothing more. I need to know. Oh, and I guess Charlie must be going to visit Nick. Oh, he is. Oh. Okay, so Nick is doing psychology. It looks like he's in the LGBT society. He's doing rugby, which I knew, and a mental health support group. Oh, that makes me so happy. That's it? That's it? That's it. That's it. And you didn't tell me anything. I mean, I guess I did, but like, I want to know where Charlie's going to be. I want to know where they're going to be in 5 years. I need to know where they are as adults. Tell me this isn't the end then. I need to know. That was not enough closure. Maybe the movie will give me more, but it's over. I really didn't cry as much as I expected I would. Maybe the movie will make me cry more. This is not what happens in the book. I don't like this. It doesn't feel like them. Oh my god. There's too much. There's too much breaking up. And they literally mention Talent L like almost every like 5 minutes. Oh my god. I'm still processing. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Like, they didn't break up, but like, it was implied. This is just not what happens in the book. They literally have sex in the book. They don't break up. They literally say they're strong enough for that to not happen. I don't get it. So I hated that. Probably never gonna watch the movie ever again. Hated the majority of it. I genuinely started feeling gaslit about the book. I was like, wait, did I read the book wrong? Do they actually break up? No, it's not me. I do not understand why that happened. So, elephant in the room, Nick and Charlie break up. I don't understand why. I thought that for the most part it was pretty accurate to volume 6, and I'm really curious how Alice Oseman went about their intentions for the movie versus the book. Because did they write volume 6 before the movie was even going to happen? I'm really curious to know what happened here, because it felt so out of character for Nick and Charlie to break up. Before I started volume 6, I had said that I was worried that they would break up because I saw somewhere online something about a breakup. I genuinely don't know what it was, but it was just something that I read in passing and I brushed it off because I was like, oh my god, that definitely doesn't happen. And, well, it does. Literal jump scare watching the movie. Why would they do that? It just felt so out of character. And then the fact that, like, Nick and Charlie just don't talk to each other for what, like a week or two? They don't even talk at Pride? It's so out of character for them. Like, if they've had an argument or something, there might be like a couple days that they don't talk to each other. And I know that both of them were like ignoring their friends and stuff, but the fact that nobody kind of intervened. Also, he literally has a conversation with his mom, and I totally forgot that Olivia Colman is not Nick's mom anymore. They had to recast Sarah, and I also got jump scared at that because I was like, who is this woman? Who is that? I don't know her. There's a conversation where Nick and his mom start to talk after Biscuit is adopted. Nick comes home and he starts to talk to his mom about how screwed up it was for his dad to leave and a lot of the things that he put on his sons. They start talking about a lot of the trauma. And Sarah basically says to him that it doesn't matter what happens if he and Charlie stay together or they break up. They will always remember that they've had that special relationship. Maybe they will still have a friendship. And it's not Nick's fault. I feel like she wouldn't have said that. I genuinely think that she would have pressed him to go be with Charlie and not just break up because of his anxiety. I don't understand many of the choices that even happened in this movie that I hadn't read in the book. Also, still upset that Tao and Elle didn't get back together. I should have filmed myself watching the movie because I was up in arms. I started watching the movie on Thursday and I only got halfway in and I had to take a break because I literally felt like I was gonna have a panic attack. I was just not prepared for the storyline whatsoever. Even though I did see a tiny spoiler about the breakup, in my mind I was just like, there's no way that that happens. So that was a lot of information to process, especially that there was just so many breakups and they constantly mention Ellen and Tal breaking up to the point where I was getting so angry because I was like, please stop breaking it up. I'm already upset about it. Stop it. Now that I've watched the movie though, I understand why Tal and Elle broke up, and I do think they could possibly get back together, but it is important to go and see the world and live without your high school partner. But in reality, some high school relationships do last. Anyway, I just did not have fun watching this movie. There were some points that I was happy about. I really liked the ending before the epilogue when they go back to where they had their first kiss, which is actually in volume 6 as well. I think that was one of my favorite scenes. This really came full circle, so I will give credit to the storyline for having some closure in that way. Charlie has gone through so much at the start of Heartstopper, and now that it's over, I can confidently say, besides the breakup, that Charlie has developed so well. He is so much more confident now. Also, there is a scene when he is at work in the bakery. Now that I mention it, I just realized there's no scene from the book where the elderly couple talks about the knee surgery. Like, they are talking about it, but in the book there's a scene where they come back, they talk about the knee surgery. But in the movie, Charlie offers them cake and they decline because one of them is diabetic, and so Charlie brings it back to his station and he actually eats it in front of everybody there, and honestly that made me so proud. He has come so far. Also though, now that I'm thinking about it, we also don't really see much of the relapse in the movie as well. Like, it's there, but it's very quick. This is one instance where I'll say I preferred the book. The book was way better. I genuinely would have done without the movie if I knew that this is what it was going to be. I'm so disappointed. I was so excited for this and I feel let down and betrayed, honestly. It wasn't a lost cause. I am happy about the scenes that I got to see portrayed on screen from the book, but the book was better. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think? Am I in the minority, or did everybody else hate the movie too? I'm literally so disappointed. Anyway, that is going to do it for this long Heartstopper vlog. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Liking and commenting really helps the algorithm and push this video out to new people. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to my members on Patreon and Bindery. I have gained so many new subscribers on Bindery. Thank you so much for your support. It is my dream to launch my own imprint dedicated to publishing queer and trans books, and the only way I can do that is with monetary support. It's as low as $5, and I host a monthly themed book club. We actually have a Heartstopper channel in my private Discord, which is open to free and paid members. I have been updating in the channel as well as other folks in my Discord. I also post exclusive content every week, and with your support on Bindery, it will help me to launch my own imprint. So if you want to help me out with that, the link's down below. If you'd like to watch more YouTube things, you'll like this video and you can subscribe there. Bye.